Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be taking a look at Jane Eyre. Now specifically this video has been designed for anyone who is studying English literature and are looking to learn about some of the key information. Specifically we're going to be going over some of the key themes, characters and the contextual information surrounding the novel. Now if you haven't done so already, please could you like and subscribe, it really does help us out when you do so. So the first thing I'd like you to look at is have a look at the key words or phrases below and attempt the challenges that follow. So the first thing to think about is to identify the words that you've heard of before. The super challenge would be how do they relate to the context of the novel, and the super challenge would be read the information on the next slide to revise the key factors of the context. So if you want to pause the video here and go through it at your own time, please feel free to do so. We're now going to just jump ahead and go through the full extent of the context. Look at the contextual information and make notes on the key information. So all of this is factoring in the same keywords that we were looking at on the previous slide. So the first thing to think about would be Jane Eyre was published in 1847 and it was published by Charlotte Bronte. However, it was under the pen name of Cora Bell. The novel was seen as revolutionary at the time and dealt with ideas such as the modern individual, an idea of truly knowing and understanding oneself. Bronte deals with many issues faced by women living in industrial Britain and challenges the stereotypes of women at the time. Their ultimate aim was to find a man who was considered solvent and good enough to marry. So it isn't something that's necessarily based on things like love or friendship or companionship, but just making sure they had someone that was there to protect them and look after them. And this is a key issue really that Jane Eyre tries to address and tackle within the actual text. So by the end of the lesson, you should be able to recall key contextual details. Again, a lot of that was what we went through just a moment ago. Understand key themes and some of the characters, and apply your understanding to an exam style question. Look at the key descriptions below and match them to the correct characters. So you can see here that what we're going to be thinking about is 4 central characters. So we have Jane Eyre, Edward Fairfax Rochester, Sarah Reed and John Reed. So the first definition would be an honourable and intelligent character who is considered higher than Jane in the social order. So as we see these descriptions, they're not automatically going to be in the correct order. Once you see all 4, you need to try and have a think about which character each description represents. So number 2. Despite being related, this character treats Jane very poorly and represents injustice in the novel. Number 3. A strong-willed and passionate person who isn't afraid to stand up for herself. And the final one, this character sees himself as really important because of his wealthy status. So if you're not too sure which one is which, please feel free to pause the video here and go through it at your own time. We're now going to jump ahead and match the characters to their descriptions. So the first one, nice and straightforward, Jane Eyre, a strong-willed and passionate person who isn't afraid to stand up for herself. Secondly, we have Edward Fairfax, so an honourable and intelligent character who is considered higher than Jane in the social order. If you're not sure what we mean when we talk about the social order, we're talking about the social hierarchy. Not just the fact that he is a man, but also generally his position and his wealth would automatically put him above someone like her. Then we have Sarah Reed. So despite being related, this character treats Jane very poorly and represents injustice in the novel. And finally we have John Reed. This character sees himself as really important because of his wealthy status. Look at the key quotations and work out the missing words or phrases. The first one says, reader, I, something, him. So what you should be thinking about now is, if you can, try to consider what is the missing word or phrase, and then potentially what character could it link to as well. So number 2, I want blank because it is of no use wanting blank blank. Number 3, I am no blank, I am a free blank blank with an blank will. Number 4, he had a blank face with blank features and a blank brow. And finally, I thought there were excellent blank in him, though for the present they hung together somewhat blank and blank. So if you want to pause the video here and go through it in your own time, please feel free to do so. Try also to link each quotation to the character that it might be referring to. We're now going to jump ahead and we're going to go through the answers in the next part of the video. Class feedback. Check your understanding against the answers below. Reader, I married him. So if you're not sure what we mean by this one, this is Jane Eyre where she's speaking directly to the audience and she's just expressing her free will to choose. If you think back to the context that we mentioned at the start of the video, it's all about her being this independent, strong and capable woman and making her own choices. So number 2, I want this because there's no use of wanting anything better. So this is again going to be a key quotation, and it talks about the certain expectations of women at the time and also her desire to want something more from life. Number 3, I am no bird, I am a free human being with an independent will. So this shows that Jane is trying to subvert the social expectations that were expected of her at the time. So generally speaking, as we think about with the context as well, women had a very limited choice during these days. They would have really been trying to aim just towards getting married, again as we looked at the start. This actually shows that she is a much more radicalised character and very different from the normal one that we'd expect during this period. Number 4, he had a dark face with stern features and a heavy brow. Now if you think about the actual stretch and challenge task on the previous part of the video, we were trying to link the key quotations to some of the important characters. So for the first 2, these have clearly came from Jane Eyre, and the next one, number 4, is actually talking about Rochester. So he had a dark face with stern features and a heavy brow. So it is actually Jane that says it, but it's about Rochester in particular. Number 5, I thought there were excellent materials in him though. For the present they hung together somewhat spoiled and tangled. Now this actually brings us on to our stretch and challenge task. So the stretch and challenge task is asking you to identify what is a Byronic hero. Now this is a really important theme when it comes to the actual understanding of the text. So if you're not sure what it means, please do look into it in a bit more detail. We're actually going to start our next lesson by recovering this in a bit more detail and just explaining that kind of character in a little bit more detail. If you need any additional support, the new videos will be added every single week. Alternatively, leave us a comment below or visit our partner channel Bookworm Teaching for more lessons and guidance on all things English. Thanks ever so much for listening guys, and if you haven't done so already, please could you like and subscribe, it really helps us out when you do so. Best of luck with all your work and revision in the future. Thank you, bye bye.